साउथ एशियन कम्युनिटीज़ पर अक्रॉस कनाडा आप लोगों को मालूम है कि किस तरह से हमले हुए हैं और बिजनेस ओनर्स ख़ास करके हमारे सरी में, एबट्सफोर्ड में, उधर ओंटारियो में, ब्रैम्पटन वगैरह इलाकों में हमले हुए हैं. At the heart of these threats is the alleged involvement of the Lawrence Bishnoi gang, a violent criminal network based in India but with growing reach in Canada. Premier David Eby has written to Prime Minister Mark Carney urging the federal government to designate the Lawrence Bishnoi gang and such other groups as terrorist entities under Canadian laws. And he has also asked for an amendment to the Canadian Criminal Code. He argues that this is not just organized crime, it is terror, spreading fear, and eroding public trust. To talk more about this, we have with us Premier David Eby on the phone line. Good evening, Premier. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you back on the show. Premier, let's start with your letter to the Prime Minister, which you have talked about to the press. You have also posted it on your social media handle. You're asking Ottawa to label Lawrence Bishnoi Group as a terrorist organization. Did the recent meeting with Satish Kumar and various other stakeholders of the community in Surrey force you to do this? Because we have seen these extortionist threats since 2023. What pushed you to take this step now?
The meeting that took place certainly was confirming that this was the right direction to go. I mean, people are very anxious in the community, and rightly so. You know, when you don't know what the scale is of what's happening, because people might be afraid to come forward. When you hear these stories about homes being shot up, it really makes people feel like they're not safe anywhere, and it's that kind of instability, that kind of terror that this group allegedly, I mean, according to them, is at least partially involved in, is what we're trying to stop. And the anti-terror laws, they're not a perfect fit for this. Ideally, we'd have laws like the United States, the RICO laws that they use to go after the mafia. But this is the closest that Canada has right now, and they've used it for the Mexican cartels. And I think that if you can use it for the Mexican cartels, then absolutely we should use it for this group, for the Lawrence Bishnoi Group, and any other groups that police believe are involved in this activity. It gives them additional tools to intervene and to prevent this activity from taking place, which is what we really want. We want these people taken off the street and arrested as quickly as possible.
Premier, you just mentioned RICO, and you have indicated that in your letter as well, that Canada needs something similar. Given your own legal experience, what would something like that look like in Canada?
Well, I think we can learn from the U.S. experience. When people affiliate with criminal organizations, when they hang out with and they profit from criminal organizations, even though they're not directly involved, that should be a crime itself. They're benefiting from the proceeds of crime. They're benefiting from criminal associations, and they're acting as the mouthpieces and the advocates for criminal organizations. And so the RICO legislation lets police look at the whole group. You don't have to necessarily be the person who pulled the trigger, but if you did something to help that happen, then you should be arrested as well. And that makes a lot of sense to me. We'd have to make it make sense in the Canadian context and learn from the American example, but to not have anything except for anti-terrorism legislation is not ideal. But in any event, we do have the anti-terrorism legislation, and we should use it. This is an international group. They're sowing terror here at home, and they're doing it for ideological purposes. They're promoting themselves, saying, "Hey, we did this," and that should be good enough to crack down on it.
Right. You mentioned the ideological aspect of it, and just this afternoon we heard there were reports of gunshots at Maple Ridge. I mean, I have received unconfirmed reports of that, but they are trying to send out a message, it seems, that they are not really bothered about the authority of your government or the federal government, and that they will do, because I'm sure they know whatever is being talked about them in the Canadian press as well as in the political stream, and yet they don't seem to be bothered. Are they sending out a message, do you think, to you, to your government, and to the federal government as well?
Well, I think that, the core of it is that we need to see the RCMP team, the national team that's working on this in British Columbia and Alberta and Ontario, we need to see that they have the resources they need to make some arrests and be successful here. And that means doing everything possible, including designating this group. That's what's going to send the message. I think that if people in the community have the sense that the police aren't able to do anything, that they don't have the tools that they need to crack down on this, then that is a really bad message for everybody. And it's not just in our province, it's right across the country. Because it makes people lose confidence in the rule of law. It makes people lose confidence in safety in their community. And that's why it's so important that the federal government take this as seriously as possible. And I hope to be engaging with the Prime Minister on this in our next conversation and encourage him to take this step as quickly as possible.
Premier, you are aware that there is a diplomatic angle to this. Now, yesterday on the sidelines of the G7 summit, Prime Minister Carney met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They also issued a joint statement in which respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity were mentioned. Now, our understanding is that sovereignty was a reference to the Niger incident. And the territorial integrity aspect of it aired India's concerns about Khalistan activity in Canada. Now, CSIS has also issued a 46-page report in which Canada-backed Khalistani extremists have been mentioned as a national security threat for Canada. Now, in such a scenario, where the Prime Minister invited the Indian Prime Minister despite opposition and even said yesterday that it was his honor to host him, and when the press asked him if there was any talk about the Niger investigation, the Prime Minister just avoided the question. Now, how hopeful are you that the federal government will honor your request? Because they seem to be pivoting away from Justin Trudeau government's position on this.
Well, the Indian government is concerned about Khalistani extremism, and we've got the anniversary of the Air India tragedy, the bombing that took place. It's well-grounded concern for Canada. We're, I think, rightly concerned about Indian criminal organizations operating in our country in multiple provinces. There's lots for us to work on together. There is an active criminal investigation and trial underway related to the Niger murder. And obviously, I'm very concerned about allegations of Indian government involvement. And I also know how important it is that we have regular diplomatic relations with one of the largest countries in the world, with so many people who trace their lineage back to India, who live in our province. So to have a relationship where we can be in exchange with India is very important. And it's also equally important for justice that we get to the bottom of what happened to Mr. Najjar, and also that we do our part to address extremism in our own province connected to the Khalistani movement, where it crosses over into violence or advocating violence at any time. So we've all got our work cut out for us. The criminal justice system will do the work that they need to do, and justice must be done.
Lastly, Premier, we keep hearing about calls to amend laws or tighten Canadian laws or provincial laws. Now, when you talk about amending laws, and you indicate that in your letter, are there any ethical concerns about overreach?
Yes, I mean, there have been concerns raised from the very earliest passing of the anti-terrorism legislation that it gives police too many powers and not enough accountability through the courts. I think these are things we need to be extremely cautious about and only use these laws in the most extreme and appropriate cases. This is one of those cases. This is a situation where businesses feel they are having to pay extortion money, where people don't feel safe at home, where there are credible allegations that gangs based in another country are operating with impunity in Canada, and the police need this tool to address this terrorism that's taking place in our country. And so I hope to have the support of other premiers of affected provinces on this, and the support of the Prime Minister in using this. They're admittedly extreme tools, but this is admittedly an extreme situation.
Premier, good luck with your effort, and thank you so much for making time for this conversation. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. प्रीमियर डेविड ईवी साहब दोस्तों बता रहे थे कि किस तरह से उनके कंसर्न्स हैं और जिस तरह से वारदात हो रही हैं इस प्रोविंस में, इस मुल्क में, एक के बाद एक। आज भी मैंने एक रिपोर्ट देखा, सुनने में आया है कि मेपल रिज में भी गोलियां चली हैं आज। ऐसे माहौल में ऐसा एक रिक्वेस्ट करना मेरे ख्याल से मुनासिब हो सकता है, लेकिन क्लियरली जो एथिकल कंसर्न्स का जो मैंने जिक्र किया और प्रीमियर ने भी इस पे एलैबोरेट किया कि हाँ, पुलिस को बहुत ज़्यादा पावर दे देंगे तो फिर वो भी एक मसला पैदा कर सकता है। लेकिन जो एक डिप्लोमेटिक एंगल है इसमें, और वही इसीलिए मैंने ये सवाल भी पूछा क्योंकि मैं चाह रहा था कि इस चीज़ को थोड़ा सा जोड़ के एक संदर्भ में मैं देखूं कि प्रीमियर साहब ने दरख्वास्त की है मार्क कार्नी साहब को कि वो डिक्लेयर कर दें कि लॉरेंस बिश्नोई गैंग एक टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है। अब इसके कुछ पैरामीटर्स होते हैं, आई एम श्योर प्रीमियर ने इतनी आसानी से तो ये फैसला नहीं लिया होगा। अपोजिशन में भी बाय एंड लार्ज लोग इसके समर्थन में तो है। आज मैंने एलेनोर स्टार्को साहिबा को सुना था डॉक्टर रोमाना के शो पर, वो भी इसी तरह की बात कह रही थी कि इस चीज़ को थोड़ा सा टाइटन करने की ज़रूरत ज़रूर है। लेकिन यहाँ पर एक फॉरेन गैंग की बात हो रही है जो एक टेरिटरी से ऑपरेट कर रहा है। बिश्नोई खुद जेल में बैठा हुआ है हिंदुस्तान में, लेकिन जिस तरह की बातें हम सोशल मीडिया पर देखते हैं, जब भी ऐसा कुछ सुनने में आता है तो कुछ लोग हिंदुस्तान में बड़े सेलिब्रेट करने लगते हैं, उसको तो ऐसा एज अ हीरो बना दिया है। तो ऐसे माहौल में कितना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हो सकता है ऐसी कोशिश। और दूसरी बात ये कि हिंदुस्तान के साथ अभी रिलेशनशिप नॉर्मलाइज करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। सीएसएस का 46 पेज का रिपोर्ट आ चुका है जिसमें खालिस्तान, कनाडा बैक्ड खालिस्तानी एक्सट्रीमिस्ट्स का जिक्र हुआ है। और ये जो है थोड़ा सा पोजीशन शायद बदला है, मुझे ऐसा लगा। हालांकि ऐसा पहली बार तो नहीं हुआ है, इससे पहले भी आई थिंक जस्टिन ट्रूडो साहब की सरकार में भी ऐसा ही कोई रिपोर्ट निकला था जिसके बारे में मैंने सुना है, लेकिन फिर बात वो आगे कुछ बढ़ी नहीं। इस बार भी सीएसएस के रिपोर्ट से क्या नतीजा निकलेगा कुछ कह नहीं सकते। लेकिन क्या ये थॉ जो आया है या फिर ये जो नरमी आई है रिलेशनशिप में हिंदुस्तान और कनाडा के दरमियान, उसकी वजह से क्या प्रीमियर साहब की उन्होंने जो ये दरख्वास्त की है क्या ये कबूल होगी? प्रीमियर साहब उम्मीद कर रहे हैं कि कुछ पॉजिटिव निकले।